Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture we will go ahead and learn how Django apps actually work. So before writing any kind of code in here, first of all we will understand how Django works and how the code which we are going to write is going to get executed. Let's first discuss about what exactly is an app in Django. So let's say if you're building a website, so this particular website can have multiple sections. For example, it can have the blog section, the forum section, and the comment section. So an entire huge website can be split up into multiple things, and these things can be called as apps in Django. So whenever you're developing a big website or a big project in Django, it can be comprised of multiple apps. And these multiple apps combined together is going to be your entire website or your entire Django project. Now these particular sections or these particular chunks of your website are called as apps, and in each Django project you can have as many number of apps as you want, and now you can just go ahead and write code for each one of those individual apps. So now let's go ahead and learn how apps actually look like in Django. So an app in Django is nothing but its collection of a bunch of other files. So if you have a look over here, these are the different files which a particular app actually has. So whenever you go ahead and create an app in Django, by default these many files are going to be contained in that particular app folder. Now whenever you go ahead and create an app, you will get a directory with that particular app name. So for example, if you create an app named as food, you will get a food directory which is going to have these many number of files in there. And the collection of all these files together in a particular directory is nothing but your Django app. And amongst these files right here, the most important file which we are going to talk about first is the views.py file. Now let's understand what exactly is the views.py file. So the views.py file, or a view, is nothing but it's actually something which processes the user requests in Django. So for example, let's say this is a user, and let's say this user sends a request to the browser. Let's say it sends a request of facebook.com/xyz, where xyz is the name of a particular Facebook user. So now Django's job is to actually go ahead and process this particular user request. And the processing of this particular user request is done by something which is called as the view, which we have on the left hand side. So the job of this view is to take the request, analyze this particular request, and then send back an appropriate response. Now in this case, this user is requesting for Facebook page of XYZ user. So the job of this view is to return a response back to the user by giving out XYZ's Facebook page. So this is how the view should actually work. So a view in Django is nothing but it's something which can actually go ahead and process the user's request and send back an appropriate response. So now let's learn how exactly can you write a view. So we already know that a view is nothing but a views.py file, and now let's learn how exactly we can write in some code inside that particular view. So a view is generally written as a Python function, and this Python function can be written inside the views.py file. So whenever you want to write a view, what you simply do is that you create a simple Python function, and as usual, just as you give a name to a particular function, you can go ahead, create a function, name that something, and that name is going to be nothing but the name of your view. So this is what a view usually looks like. So the D here is actually present in capitals, but that should be actually present in a small letter. So here we have a normal function, and as this is a view, it's going to accept a request over here. So in this case, this request parameter is nothing but the user request. So now the job of this function is to take the request, and depending upon the request, it needs to return an appropriate response. So this is the basic structure of what exactly a view looks like. Now once we know what are apps and what are views, in the next lecture, let's go ahead and actually create a Django app and actually write a view inside that particular app which processes a user request and sends back an appropriate response. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next lecture. Thank you.